America, obviously you're up in Scotland. So
yeah.
to interact with other people where you think a lot of people slip off, they don't interact with you're an avid interactor. You get people on your show all the time. I see you doing your videos, which are like this, and then you turn it into a podcast, which is great. So how do you do that? What makes you do that?
Okay, what was the last part you said there?
What makes you do it? How do you do it? How do you interact? How do you find these people and then really personalized touch and get them on like this?
Yeah, it's really a new thing I've started doing. I've maybe done about 10 interviews in total now, but it's gone from strength to strength because I found that's probably my favorite medium and where I fit best because I'm such a curious person. So if I position myself as an interviewer, I can ask, I'll have more questions by the end of the interview than I did at the beginning. Like I'll have maybe 10 questions laid out for someone that are questions I really want to ask. Like I'll try and pick people that I watch their content. They're probably a wee bit higher up than me, and I'll be bold enough to go and approach them and ask them to come on my show. And I've not had a no yet because I'm very persistent. I've had a brush to the side, but I've never had a no. So like that's still, I've still got a chance because I'm persistent. So that's what I do. I'm very, very curious. So I've positioned myself as an interviewer, and from that I've realised that it might be one of my good skills to ask and get out as much information and what I want to know, but also making sure that the people viewing are getting what they want as well. So the last couple of few have been really engaging, and the people who I've been interviewing have done a great job of that as well. They've had some experience of working a crowd, so they're actually noticing the comments coming up and mentioning there's comments and coming in for me. So it's quite handy. Really, what we can do as producers is create the platform, bring in people on, and they, like I'm doing the talking for you right now, and that's what's happened. That's what can happen with it. It's such a great. It's called the publisher model. Is what magazines do. They create the platform. They created the magazine. Let's think of Men's Health, for example. I don't know who owns Men's Health. Maybe you do. No. Well, whoever owns Men's Health set up a very lucrative business because all they have to do is have that Men's Health, make sure Men's Health's promoted in every supermarket and store. And from that, people are creating the content for them. They just need the platform, and they bring in creators or journalists or writers and get them to create the content. And it's having the platform. And the same happens with podcasting, I've found. So how do I do it? I almost have a hit list of people I want to speak to who I think like authors and people who have read their books, and I've got kind of big goals with that, but I'm doing it one step at a time, just going up the steps. And by getting one quite powerful person, that's led on to showing the next person, look how many views this video got. And I think that's really what they care about. Like if an author's just published a book, he's not going to waste his time with a bunch of small people with small podcasts with small views. They're not going to waste the time because if we do 100 of them and it would be ineffective for launching their new book. They would rather jump on the Tim Ferriss podcast show than mine at the beginning. So you have to reach high, but not way above and beyond where you can actually go for. So just think of who's just slightly ahead of you and have got a bigger audience than you, and that also brings some audience back to you by bringing your touch onto the interview. And that's how I'm doing it. And I basically have a good high quality microphone, and as I'm doing these interviews, I'm recording good quality from my side. I make sure that the guest that's coming on has good audio and do a bit of upfront prep before we go live and make sure everything's fine. And I do it all through video, and I've started doing them through Facebook Live as well, which is a bit more challenging to get great high quality audio because you don't know what to expect on the day when it's live. Things can go wrong. And then I outsourced the podcast editing part of it, adding an intro, adding the outro, adding like the music and editing M's and ums and just unnecessary bits out. And sometimes if it's a very long one, I'll edit it from like an hour long one down to maybe 40 minutes by just cutting out and leaving the most valuable parts there. So that's roughly how I've started it.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about the podcast because I'm more of a visual kind of video man running a videography company and social media company. So I'm very much in the dark. And just that little talk there that you said, you know, it seems very much like the video stuff. You do have to edit out the ums, the ahs, just like the video stuff. You have to edit out the kind of boring shots, the stuff that's just filler shots that you really need to get rid of.
Yeah, it's what is it, topping and tailing. Just make sure that you don't, like, if you're doing a Facebook Live video, if anyone's doing that, just make sure the beginning, if you've clicked live and then there were some technical errors, I make sure that that one goes live and I leave that there because it was live. Then people can forgive you for that. But when people are listening to iTunes or people who are listening to audio, like we listen to Audible or audiobooks, and we expect the same level that Audible have for the people who put books out there when we listen to podcasts. We want at least something we can hear. We don't have to we don't have to destroy our ears to hear what they're saying. So we want to be able to give people that high level of quality that they're used to by listening to audiobooks. And if we don't give them that, they're not going to listen. So audio is number one, as you know, when it comes to video. So really, you might as well make a podcast, because if you're going to go for really good audio experience, because you have to remember, it's not what we think's good, it's what the audience want. And I'm always, because I'm so curious, and when I'm producing this stuff, I'm still curious. So I'm asking the Ben's Business Book Club and the viewers, what do you want more of? What do you not like? And try and get as much of that as possible. So I get that research and I give people what they want. And audios, I've noticed, is like key to like a good video. So if I can make sure my audio is crisp, then the video is almost secondary. And then, yeah, the lighting and things. I've got like a light in here, and I've got made sure I'm positioned well with, like, I've got my windows in front of me, which gives me good lighting. But the audio in the end, I've heard over and over, is the most important part. So if we're going to create great audio, we might as well cut that up and top and tail, add some music to the start and end, which again, you don't even need to do to start a podcast, but you give people what they expect from a podcast, which is just adding a wee clip of audio and an intro about what the podcast is about. And then if we're creating video, we're creating podcasts, really. We just have to figure out that last part of getting it distributed onto iTunes through Libsyn, which is, I think Lib is short for Liberated Syndication, I think.
Yeah, when I'm doing videos, we have to really focus on the audio as well. So when we're doing the videos, we have the external clip mics, and we always get 2 or 3 mics on top of the cameras. This is fairly new to me, very, very new to me. I believe my first ever live video, joint live video, was Jerrick Robbins.
Okay.
So for me, I didn't realize who Jerrick Robbins was until about 5 minutes before the video. And then I Googled him, and I realized it was Tony Robbins' son.
Really?
Wow. Yeah. And I was like, oh, wow, this is my first joint live video, and I'm going to go with like the son of the most well-known motivational speakers in the world.
That's pretty cool.
So I was a bit coming up to it. I was like, wow, I really need to nail this. And it went great. I mean, it was more of a learning curve for me. If you go back and watch it, you realize I was more being taught than I was talking, which, and that's still on the board. He told me to write that, and he was like, can you do this? Can you do that? And it was more me writing for him, for the viewers, which I thought. Right. But as you say, the audio for me now, I'm looking at, external headsets, so I can have that. If I have to walk around, if I want to sit back, I can still be very audio based. Yeah. But right now, it's just me and the MacBook. And again,
I think if you can start with that, as long as you can use a MP4 to MP3 converter, YouTube to MP3 converter, and that converts it to an audio file. And that audio file is your podcast, really. You just have to, a podcast is audio uploaded to the internet.
Yeah.
That's it. It doesn't have to be much more complicated at the beginning, because at the beginning of a podcast, you get no viewers anyway. So just put it out there and improve as you go.
I mean, that's the same with YouTube, with Facebook. You got no likes, you got no subscribers, you got no followers. No one cares about you.
Yeah.
And you're just putting out content and, you know, crossing your fingers, hoping for the best.
Yeah.
And this is the great way to grow. And a lot of people underestimate that. That's why so many people quit so early. I didn't get more than 100 views within the first 6 months. I gave up. But, you know, connecting with yourself or connecting with Jerick or connecting with another guy that I connected to with in Florida. It's all been a learning curve, and it's all about your network as well, I find. So every time you connect with someone, you grow, you learn, and it's another connection. So I love the connecting part of video, audio, and as they say, your network is your net worth.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just making sure I've shared this on the book club because that'll bring more live viewers for us as well. Yeah, it's shared over on the Ben's Business Book Club. But yeah, your network is your net worth, and that's what I've found doing podcast interviews as well. Is me and you know each other better than we did before, and that's a great thing about like another benefit of starting an interview-based podcast, because I started doing them just individually as myself talking to the camera. And I found like some of them were hits, and some of them are still getting views, just as regular YouTube videos will do. It's all great content, but what excites people is two people talking and discussing things. So and what happens as well, you're getting, because I've just shared that on Ben's Business Book Club to 1,000 group, the members in there. That's got your exposure onto my group and my audience, and when I bring on guests, I get exposure to their audience. So it's like you're saying, it's a great way to grow your influence and your even your network, because not just the volume, but like the depth of your network. Like we are going to speak for, let's say, half an hour to an hour, and we'll know each other better, much better by that. And by the end of those interviews, you've made friends, you've made maybe business associates and partners. So like that, I feel like I could go down to London and meet quite a lot of people now. And I'm up in Scotland, but I'm starting to get myself out there just through social media like that and through live videos. Yeah,
I mean, I love the fact that connecting with people online is one of the biggest things that I think has helped supported me change my life. Because everybody sees me now as, you know, this motivated guy. He loves books, he loves business. I help people, I connect with people, but on the other end of that, I wasted 10 years with the wrong people, doing the wrong thing.
Okay. Yeah.
So I feel the same as yourself. When you do connect online and you do connect to like-minded people who push you forward, I think it's one of the most beautiful things that you can do is actually get online and talk to the right people, the right network of people. So talking to yourself and the people in your book club, it's been inspiring, motivational, and, you know, positive impact on myself to know that there's more people who've got book reviews, they've got, you know, positive comments, they're giving out recommendations, and that's just through your book club. And then back to people around me, it was the same thing that I said to Jerick. I said, you know, a lot of people that I still know, that I still talk to, I say, please read a book, it will change your life. And they push it aside. But if I talk to somebody online who's willing to grow, willing to put in that effort, like yourself, it's a support network, as it was.
Yeah. Yeah, so one of the reasons I set up that group as well, because I had a thought in my car one day after one of those conversations about probably trying to have a conversation with a friend or family member who is not into that, or doesn't run a business, doesn't care about growing themselves in their personal life and doing personal development. And that's fine. I've come to learn that that's okay, because some people are just not ready. And like as Benjamin Franklin says, those who won't be counseled can't be helped. And he kind of concluded it on that, because he's like had that frustration as well. So instead of complaining about it, I decided I'm going to surround myself with the people that I can have those conversations with. So I had that. I actually can visualize being in the car that day and thinking I was recording a video, and that's how I journal. I carry this around with me, but I usually just take videos on my phone for myself, And that was actually how I built my confidence to start taking selfie videos and putting them out on social media eventually. So I kind of took that process. So that's how I journaled. And that was one of the reasons, one of the videos in there I remember saying, I was asking myself like good questions, like how do I surround myself with the people that will listen to me and what I've just learned from this book and maybe share something back with me. And it was just that really empowering question that made me go and start Ben's Business Book Club. And literally no one believed in it at the beginning, but me. And I invited some people in, and some of my friends who I thought were readers, and I'm sure a few of them left after that. So I was roughly about 5 members after inviting 20 in, or maybe not that much, but it was quite harsh. And now we're at 1,000. So it's just having that belief in yourself as well, and thinking of solutions to the problems in your life and just acting on them, doing something about it. And it's one of the best moves I've ever made. It's never stopped benefiting me, creating that community around myself. And I've made so many friends and had so many great conversations and learned so much from other people.
Yeah.